Sometimes an ordinary drive home turns into a small adventure. This time, that's exactly what happened. We often travel to Daugavpils, visiting family or just spending a weekend there. The route back home is familiar, predictable, almost automatic. But this time, we decided to break the routine a little and take a different road, the one on the other side of the Daugava river. We had no plan, no expectations, just curiosity. But sometimes the smallest decisions lead to the most interesting days. Our first idea while driving was to walk a short nature trail. But where to find one? Because our decisions that day were completely spontaneous. We hadn't checked tourist brochures or planned any stops. We simply took the detour to see what we might find. So we stopped in the first town on our route, Ilūkste, where we noticed a tourist information board with a map and several points of interest. We looked it over, saw that a nearby nature trail wasn't far away, and decided to make a quick stop there. Before leaving Ilūkste, we also took a short look at the Church of the Name of the Virgin Mary, a small but beautiful landmark in the center of the town. Then we got back in the car and continued towards the trail. But of course it had just rained. When we arrived, a worker at the small info spot near the parking area warned us right away. It's very slippery, lots of clay. Better not go today. We looked at each other and decided not to be heroes. A full mud bath wasn't exactly what we were aiming for. So we turned around and kept driving. The weather that day changed constantly. Rain, sun, clouds, then sun again. But there is something cozy about that. Driving through quiet Latvian roads, listening to the rain on the windshield, and realizing that you are not in a rush at all. And then we saw a sign to another nature trail. Cool. There is a place to leave your car, and we are trying to check how this trail looks like. We will not go for the hiking today, but just investigating, checking where to go on the next adventure. And here the trail begins. Let's take a quick look.
Комары.
Yeah, this is the trail you can take. But we are not going for hiking today, just checking. Maybe next time. And now returning back to our car, driving to Bebrene. Next point on our new road to home was a small town, and we almost immediately noticed a couple of buildings that stood out from everything around them. Once we got closer, we realized it was a manor and an old mill.
Bebrene's Muža. Yeah, this is Bebrene's manor.
And that's where the real surprise of the day happened. We were greeted by a woman who didn't just open the doors for us. She actually gave us a small personal tour.
Es te kādu laiku, mums šodien pirmā diena būs pagājušā gada. Es šodien esmu aizmirsusi un man vajag pa jaunam. Tā, es ieslēgšu dzirnavos. Es atkārtosies. Vitamis ir apkārt. Tātad, kad māla gāja pa šīm tēvām divām milti, un kāds tā būs sākums. Un pacēlās uz augšu ar šo te strādātās, kā jūs teikt, ritenis, ja, kas no bērnības, jo mums, redz, latviešu, jā, nenopietnas cilvēks, jā? Ja teica, gērba, tas nozīmē, kaut kāds nerīt.
She showed us the inside of the mill, shared a few stories, and took us to another building filled with old machinery and tools, vintage equipment, old mechanisms, heavy metal parts, all real. I made some photos, and the kids learned how these places worked back then, long before modern technology took over. Sometimes you travel without any plan at all, and suddenly you find a place that ends up being the highlight of your day. We were happy about this small excursion. Just €1 for this excursion on these dzirnaviņas. By the way, this place, Bebrane Manor, is one of the few manor complexes in this region where almost the entire 19th century complex has survived. Now this is the building of secondary school of Bebrane. The main building was designed in a French Renaissance style, and many of the original structures are still here. The old park, the gates, the brick walls, even the wooden mill with its preserved machinery. The main building was built around 1896 and was designed by Gian Leandro Marconi. From 1921, the local school uses this building, and for the needs of the school, the third floor was built at the end of 1950s. The mill, where we had the excursion, began constructions in 1836 and was powered by a steam engine. Some of the original machinery is still preserved inside, including a maple wood gear wheel. The miller's house is a remarkable example of the old wooden architecture typical for this region. Walking in a park. And just across the road from the estate stands a beautiful Catholic church, aligned with the manor on the same historical axis, a quiet and elegant landmark worth stopping for. And before heading home, we made one last stop in Jekabpils. We took a short walk along the Daugava river, and then we stopped by the Orthodox monastery. We walked all the way to the Old Believers' Church, a beautiful blue wooden building that immediately stands out. Unfortunately, it was already past visiting hours and the church was closed, but that just gives us a reason to come back another time. We also visited Krustpils Castle, a massive centuries-old fortress that stands right by the river, watching over the town. We didn't go inside this time, but even from the outside it gave this place a sense of history and quiet strength. Since the 13th century, Krustpils Castle has faithfully watched over the banks of the Daugava. Throughout its history, it has burned down several times and been destroyed in wars, yet it was always rebuilt and still welcomes visitors today. It was the perfect final touch before returning to Riga. No rush, no crowds, just a peaceful ending to the day. Yeah, on Sundays this museum and the castle works till 5 o'clock, and we are late. But anyway, we just film it from here, and maybe next time we will visit Krustpils Castle. And as we got back on the main road, we could already feel it. Nothing big really happened, but the day turned out better when we planned. Sometimes all it takes is turning off your usual route, and an ordinary drive home becomes a small adventure. And you know, if you ever feel like you don't have time for a real trip, or you're not sure where to go, just take a look around. Sometimes the most memorable moments aren't in faraway countries, but just an hour from home, on the road you take to visit your family or to your summer house. Thank you for watching this story. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like, leaving a comment and subscribing if you haven't already. It really does help the channel find its way through the mysterious world of YouTube algorithms. See you in the next story, and may your everyday road becomes small adventure too.